The front line against organised crooks and the smugglers running red hot across the city. Our cameras are there for the dramatic raids and arrests and the seizure of millions of dollars of goods.
Hello, I'm Tracy Grimshaw. Welcome to A Current Affair. We'll have that story in a moment, plus the buy now, pay later revolution that will change the way you shop. We begin with two young mothers fighting for justice for their little boys destroyed by men they trusted. The women are angry at what they say are soft sentences for the most evil acts of violence.
Poor little baby, like, yeah, I just wish I held him a bit harder.
How can they just tell me that my son is going to die?
When he was unconscious, I just wanted to, wake him up,
A wolf in sheep's clothing, really.
I always tell people I'm an expert with babies.
What sort of person does that?
An animal. An absolute monster. He's not the person I knew.
Nice to meet you.
They're two young mothers crippled with grief through no fault of their own. Their little boys are both permanently disabled. They suffered horrific injuries at the hands of someone who was trusted to take care of them.
He was a calm baby, easy to look after, and I've never showed any frustration towards him or anything,
Eduardo Varas is a liar.
Bloody baby fell out of my arms.
What he did to a defenceless 7-month-old baby boy will make your blood boil. And this is the pathetic story he gave to detectives as the child lay fighting to survive in hospital.
I was going to the kitchen so I could put the beer on the bench, and I had a sip just before I put it down, just the last sip, and I had a sip, and then baby's he's kind of just pushed away from me. He's pushed and he's kind of rolled over my arm onto the floor.
The awful truth is that Eduardo Varas was sick of the baby crying for his mother, who we can't identify for legal reasons. She had stepped out to get a pink slip for her car, so Varas shook, kicked and threw the helpless child. And he knew straight away he'd gone too far.
I saw him, I put my beer down, I picked him up, and then in kind of a panic I ran to the bathroom with him, and I put the cold water on him, and I put his head in the cold water just to try and bring him to, trying to wake him.
Varas calls 000 and begs paramedics to help him.
I just said, look, it's just he's breathing. It's like he's just sleeping, but he won't wake up. I was in kind of a panic too. I just kept repeating it to the paramedic, I think it is.
The baby's mother arrived home to find an ambulance in the driveway and her son barely alive.
I was angry, I was upset. I remember yelling at him what had happened, what did he do? I remember yelling at the paramedics what is wrong with him, what's going on.
Doctors didn't need convincing their tiny patient had been abused, and neither did his mother.
I seen him very badly injured. They had, tubes and wires and stuff coming out of his body.
Nobody expected her son to live.
They told me that. They said, he's got a 1% chance of survival and he's going to die.
Back at the police station, his attacker is still spinning lies.
I was just trying to tell her, look, I'm sorry, babe, I love you, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry it's happened, I didn't mean to drop baby, I've never harmed this child, I've never meant to do something like this to him.
Did you cause these injuries to out of frustration or anger?
No way, I had no reason to be in frustration, no. He's like that, with me, if he's unsettled, I'm good with kids, I can put him asleep.
How would you describe a person who does that?
A monster. I'm disgusted that anyone can put their hands on a child and try to kill them, whether it's their own child or somebody else's child.
What does a duck say? Duck says, quack.
3 years on, this is the little boy. He suffers cerebral palsy and is blind in one eye. Life isn't easy for him or his mother. especially knowing Eduardo Varas will be freed from jail in just 6 years.
Good boy. He either needs to spend his whole entire life in jail or die. I honestly prefer him to die than ever walk out of jail. Ever. Life for a life.
Boo! Hello!
Nobody agrees more than Elise Webber.
Hi!
Her and husband Barry left their young children in the care of family while honeymooning on the Gold Coast.
We were on day 3, night 3, and we got a phone call around midnight saying that Bobby was critically ill.
They rushed home to Sydney to their 9-month-old son, Bobby.
We didn't know if when we got off the plane our son would still be alive. We didn't know if we'd make it in time to see him. It was hard.
What do you remember thinking when you first saw Bobby in ICU?
He looked very different. He was so swollen. And he was my little baby laying on a bed, cold and with marks on his head. And that moment, at that very moment, seeing my son like that, I wanted to die with him.
Bobby had broken ankles, broken ribs, a fractured spine and severe brain damage. He'd been shaken and all but killed by his uncle, Andrew Nolan. Did you ever expect that someone you trusted to take care of your son could do such a thing?
No. Never in a million years would I think that someone I loved for 12 years, and someone that I trusted and admired, would be capable of such a thing. Never.
What sort of person does that?
An animal. An absolute monster.
Bobby deteriorated. There was nothing more doctors could do. All hope had been lost. Elise said goodbye to her son.
I apologised that I wasn't there for him, to protect him. And I begged him to stay with me.
Bobby's life support was switched off.
We were singing Little Peter Rabbit, it was his favourite song. And then all of a sudden, like miracle, he just took a breath and started breathing again.
And this is little Bobby today. He's a quadriplegic with lasting brain damage. But he still has that same fighting spirit with a gorgeous smile to match. Big sister Olivia is still too young to understand what happened to her brother.
Is she your beautiful big sister? Are you a good big sister? Are you? He's beautiful, isn't he?
As Elise battles through to make life as normal as it can be, always in the back of her mind is the reality Andrew Nolan, the man who destroyed her son's life, will also be free to walk the streets in just over 6 years.
Andrew killed him that night. And that he deserves to be locked up for his natural-born life, the rest of his life.
These are children who couldn't stand up for themselves. They couldn't fight back. And it's clear to see they've been dealt life sentences. Their attackers, Eduardo Varas and Andrew Nolan, face the prospect of spending 25 years in jail. But neither of them got even close. They were both sentenced to less than 9 years behind bars, convicted of grievous bodily harm with intent. What does that tell you about our justice system?
It tells me that it needs an overhaul. Something needs to be changed. This is an innocent child's life we're talking about. What does somebody have to do to get 25 years?
These incredibly strong mothers are united in their fight to see change.
How are you? Say hi. Bobby, are you going to say hello?
Both mums hope going public with their little one's stories will strike a chord with lawmakers and convince them predators need to be held accountable.
It's similar to the one punch attack, isn't it? The coward's punch. Everyone blows up about that, which is fair enough. Child abuse is just not being talked about enough.
That is heartbreaking. Andrew Nolan has appealed his sentence and the matter will be heard in court on the 24th of April. Still to come, no fees, no interest, the new way to buy now and pay later.
They can take the product home straight away from the store.
We'll bring you that shortly. Now, border force busts in the suburbs against organised criminals. Our cameras are there for the arrests and the seizure of millions